Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So it's been quite a while since I've been on here. I've been building a lot of droids, done quite a few conventions this year. It's been pretty hectic, which is why I haven't really done many build in progress videos, as most of the stuff that I've had to build I've had to kind of get done under a time frame, and I haven't really had time to edit stuff. But I thought I'd do a little series of droid overviews, as it were. So I'll get some of my droids out, I'll run through what I did in building process, I'll run through the way they operate, things like that, just so you can kind of get an overview of what we've got. So I've got quite a few droids now on my list. Some of my newer ones that I have are a Geonosis C3O battle droid. I've now got an R5 unit again. I've got a couple more pit droids, I've got a rat catcher, I've got Buzz droid now, I've got an ID10 Seeker droid, so I think that was from one of the Xbox games, and I've got quite a few other little bits and pieces in the pipework, including a Gonk droid, a Mark IV R2-D2, and also possibly some other little secret projects, we don't know. So what I'll do is I'll flip the camera around and I'll run you through my newest R5 build. So as you all know, I had an R5 unit as one of my first droids that I got me into this hobby. He was pretty janky, to say the least. He was obviously my first ever built droid. He was done on 2 Ender 3s. The build quality was usable, but obviously it was okay. I ran him on a Padawan system, which was alright, but I constantly had issues with things like signal wires coming out. I had issues with fuses being blown, stuff like that. The connectivity for the Xbox controller wasn't always the best as well. I never had any real issues with it, but it was just more, it looked more like a kid's toy than like a proper RC unit. So what I did was built myself the Prusa version of the Mark III. It's considerably lighter than what my old one was. My old one was pretty heavy because it was a Mark II, so there was a lot of individual parts, a lot of infill. Didn't really kind of know what I was doing, so he weighed a ton. Put my back out twice, actually lifted him up. But this new Mark III that I've built is considerably better. It runs off the new RC system, so I now have an RC controller. About a third of the electrics that was in the old one. He's considerably lighter. The dome is a lot better built than my old one, so I actually got given this dome when I went to DB UK last year. I swapped a Lola, Hasbro Lola droid for it, and I filled it, sanded it, painted it, got all that sorted. And yeah, so I'll flip you around and I will show you him. So here he is in all his glory. This is my new R5. Sorry, the printer's going in the background building me a new blaster. So he's the new Mark III variant of the Prusa. So a lot of these files have been obviously redone over the years by people for optimal printing, and obviously with new bamboo printers like them ones there, the build quality is considerably better than what it was on an Ender 3. Most of these are single print parts, so things like the horseshoes, these are now a single print, whereas my old ones were printed in 3, which meant obviously if there was a bit of warp and it would take a lot of filling. These are printed at that kind of angle on the print bed, just to optimise printing. The legs are a lot sturdier than what the original ones were, because they're kind of like pretty much mainly all one piece. The foot shells are a lot better as well. They're all one piece foot shells, so my friend actually gave me those. Most of the stuff's magnetised, like the battery boxes. These are now magnetised, so they can just pop straight off rather than have to unscrew stuff. Same with the side of the foot shells there, and the battery hoses as well, they're actually magnetic. The centre foot, hell of a lot better on this one. So even though I did have a Mark II as my old droid, I did actually use the Mark III centre foot. So it's got the Vex Omni wheels in it, same with the outer feet as well. I've also done a custom riser in it to raise it up by about, I think it was about 4mm, so it just has a little bit more ground clearance. One of the things that I noticed at Comic-Cons was when I was driving around, if I had to get through doorways, things like that, just slight little ledges would catch the front of the foot shell there, and it would jerk the whole droid forward, and I really don't want that snapping. That is a single print foot shell as well, so that actually does fit onto the P1S print bed. You have to orientate it a bit iffy, but it does print on there fine. Obviously these are the new Mark III arms, so these have all got servos connected to them. As I said, I am running RC, so there's my controller. Ooh, if it zooms in up there. So yeah, that's my controller up there. I've got a really old Samsung Galaxy mobile phone attached to it because my sound system in here runs off Bluetooth. He is, in my opinion, a lot easier and a lot better than what my old Droid was. What I'll do is just pop his dome off and I'll run you through the insides. So this is the inside. As you'll see, there's no bar that goes across here because I don't need to run a slip ring at all because the lights in his dome, he's just got 3 LEDs which pretty much operate. Inside you can see it's pretty much very much upgraded in here. I've got some decent speakers in here now, so these are really quite loud, not very bassy, which is good. Servos attached to the arms. I've got quick releases on these as well, so I can just pop the pins out and change them for R2-D2's arms. That's the Bluetooth sound module, so this is just a normal amp. I used to actually have one of these in my old Vespa to run some speakers off when I was at like scooter rallies and things, and play some music while we're having a few drinks. So I kind of remembered about these and I bought one of these. So this actually connects to the controller's mobile that I have attached there using a GoPro mount. I can then have a custom R5 soundboard with all the sounds labelled, so like happy, sad, hello, all that kind of stuff. That way I'm not just playing random noises, I can actually interact more. All runs off RC, which is on the Fly Sky stuff here. I've got the dome motor here, which is a hell of a lot more sturdy than my old one. My old one used to snap all the time, and I think I replaced that about 5 or 6 times, which was an absolute pain in the arse to get to because you have to take all of this off. I upgraded the Lazy Susan on this as well, so I took all the bearings out, replaced them with ceramic bearings instead of the metal ones. I used a bicycle grease, which is like a Teflon grease, which is no friction, hell of a lot smoother, no noise in it at all, which is nice. Let me just bring him forwards a little bit. So I do actually have his little restrainer bolt in here as well, so that's just magnetic to the front like that. Has scratched it a little bit over time, but you know, it's nothing too bad. Let me put that back on. So if I pop the back panel off when it comes off, this is pretty much the brains of the operation. So you've got the motor controller here which does the feet, and you've got the dome controller here which does the dome. Obviously that is pretty much the entire setup. So on my old system I had about 7 or 8 different things on here, all doing different stuff. This is literally just 2. A couple of signal wires here and there, and that is basically it. I think collectively the price for both of these, and well, the whole setup was around about £200, which is considerably cheaper than what a Padawan system is to use. Obviously finding the parts now for Padawan as well is getting a lot more difficult. So finding things like saber-tooth systems and stuff like that's very hard. So I wanted to keep it down to something I could replicate quite easily. He's, you know, I'm really happy with how he's turned out on this. He's just so much more. Oh yeah, inside of the arms as well, I've got the custom inlays, which is pretty cool. But I'm just more overly happy with how he is. Obviously, without an R5 system for quite a while did kind of get me down a little bit. I obviously had other R system units. I had a red one, but the trouble is with custom droids, when you go to conventions, people just kind of look at them and go, "Oh yeah, it's a droid." Whereas if it's an actual canon one, people actually come up to you, they ask you questions, and "Oh, is it that one? Is it that one?" And, you know, you kind of get a bit more interaction rather than just having a custom droid. But again, you know, it only took me about 7 or 8 months to build him, so it wasn't too long. Most of it was done and painted over the summer, so the legs and things like that only took me around about a day to paint. It's a fairly easy and quick process to build one of these if you have the time and the space to do it. I now have a custom, I have a shed in my garden which I use now as a workshop, whereas before I didn't. A lot of the stuff was done, painted and then put into one of the spare bedrooms. Can't do that now because I have no spare bedrooms. But yeah, overall it's still a really good system. I am unfortunately still running the Mark III printed foot drives in it, just because I had those from my old droid. So the guy who bought it off me, he didn't want, you know, the stuff that I had in it. He just wanted a basic setup, so I took my foot drives out, put a basic setup in there for him. He just wanted the old my red R2 as just like a display piece for his office. Those foot drives I've actually had for probably about 3 years now. They've never really let me down. They are pretty sturdy, especially considering most of the parts are now printed on the bamboo in PETG. All of the gears in there are solid print gears, so there's no infill, no walls. It is just 100% infill, all solid. I could probably, you know, hit them with a hammer and they wouldn't even break. But again, it's one of those things where I can upgrade it in the future, which I will be doing. I will be using the hub motors at some point from the Mark IV. I'm pretty sure that I will keep him as he is for now. And then what I'm considering doing is changing out a few parts. So I'm thinking about having this unit here without the head, having this as an R2 unit. Obviously the doors and things like that, I never really use them anyway. So having a Mark IV body, Mark IV astromech, minus those doors, just having the little grippy arms flipping in and out, would be considerably better for me in general. Most of this stuff is transferable, so I can, you know, just take parts here and there off. But this is essentially a full R2 system, just got to change the red parts out. And that way I can have an R2 and I can have an R5, but the R5 will have all the Mark IV upgrades, things like the hub motors and, you know, just a better build. But for now, he will be rolling around as an R5. So, yeah, I just thought I'd give you all a little bit of a breakdown of what I've been up to. He is a bit janky in places, but he will do what I need him to do. He goes around conventions, he interacts with people. As you can see, there's a few bits on here that aren't really sturdy. But, yeah, he does what he needs to do. Let me just put his head back on. Yeah, so he's everyone's favourite little astromech, apart from R2. I want to try and kind of branch out a little bit as well. Obviously, I do conventions and things with the Norwich Droids, like the crew we're with. And, you know, having an R2 might open up things like weddings and parties and stuff like that. I know a lot of people don't really want to do those kind of events because, you know, drunk people grabbing older bits and bobs and droids. Again, you know, if it's just a Mark IV if this is just this build, it's not too bad. Again, that might be extra money towards, you know, building droids, stuff like that. But yeah, so this is my little overview of my R5 Mark II. I like him. I'm happy. It's nice to have him back in the house. And yeah, happy droiding everybody, and I shall see you again on the next video for another droid build update.